Greetings and welcome to a Prayerful Pause. I'm Nancy Woodworth-Hill, and amongst other things, a spiritual companion. Today we will look at a structural process for forgiveness. I recently presented a narrative process. They're quite similar, but a little different. My husband is completely unable to use this structural process. It's just the way he's built. So if it doesn't work for you, it's not you. You're just not built for this process. So give yourself some slack. This work on forgiveness is based on that of my mentor, the Reverend Dr. Rob C. Foyle. Speaking about forgiveness is often a challenge. It's important to come to a common understanding of what forgiveness is. So here's mine. To forgive is to let go of a harmful impact someone has had on your life as you live in the present and move into your future. Note some key ideas to keep in mind with this. Forgiveness is what one does for oneself. It is independent of reconciliation, the process of reestablishing relationship. Although Jesus demanded forgiveness, 18th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew, he said no such thing about reconciliation. The phrase forgive and forget is absolute rubbish. One wants to forgive and remember so as not to repeat a harmful situation. Forgiveness does affirm that the behavior was indeed inappropriate and it was wrong. It is not a claim that the behavior was acceptable, nor that a person is somehow weak in entering this process. Forgiveness is a choice. It's not a feeling, although feelings may accompany it. Forgiveness is often hindered by objections from some part of oneself. So it's important to seek and satisfy these objections in order to have the act of forgiveness remain in the past. Objections must be satisfied, no matter how small or trivial they seem. Most objections have to do with safety or justice. So note that resentment will not provide safety, so it's physically or emotionally costly to hold a grudge. As for justice objections, resentment is ultimately ineffective to achieve its goals. So common objections are things like, I won't be able to let everyone know what was done. Duh, you're going to be able to tell the 7 billion people on the planet? The hurt won't matter. Oh, it does matter. They'll do it again. That's where you need to, in the words of President Reagan, trust but verify. The person needs to be punished. It's not your job. Ask, for example, how long the resentment has been held and how effective your resentment has been. That will often help a person get over the hurdle of the resentment. Or, to think about it, how many billboards are necessary to tell all. Another point, forgiveness requires that we change our narrative from that of victim, something happened to me, to being a survivor, how I survived, or as the root word meaning, how I floated above, and eventually how I thrive, how I've moved beyond the event. This is a sure sign of healing. Forgiveness is associated with resentments towards others, towards oneself, because one can forgive oneself, and toward God, at which point one needs to clarify which God one is resenting. Appropriate goals for forgiveness are to remember an incident without distress and not to relive it. Another goal, to clarify and honor one's values as ways one prefers to live in the world now and into the future. And a third goal, to behold and act compassionately towards others, including those who have offended, as appropriate. It is never appropriate to demand forgiveness in a setting in which one is still being hurt. I'll say that again. It is never appropriate to demand forgiveness of yourself or of another person in a setting in which one is still being hurt. The easiest example that comes to my mind is of domestic violence. The person needs to get out of the situation and deal with many things before coming to that place of forgiveness. So here's the practice. Center yourself, however you do that best. And then allow God's unconditional love to surround you and uphold you. Nothing, no thing can remove this love. Do you feel it? Now, as if you're watching a movie, remember what happened that led to your resentment. Watch it just like a movie. You're one step removed from it. Identify the demand you have today about what should or should not have happened. Don't enter the movie, just watch it. You're a bit removed from it. Now, once you have that demand identified, turn it into a preference. Now, what can you learn? What would you do in the future in a similar situation? What value about yourself or your identity do you wish to retain? Now, see if you can release the person from your demand. Imagine yourself relating to people who honor your values, doing what you would prefer to do in a similar situation. I invite you, if you feel safe, to close your eyes. How are you remembering the person? Like a photograph? Do you have a sense of them? Different people remember in different ways. Where are they in your mental space? Are they in front? Are they behind? Are they to one side or the other? Are you able to point to where they are? Now I want you to set this aside. Let's find a resource. Is there a person whom you have forgiven in the past? A person that you no longer resent? Where are they located in your mental space? Can you find them? They may be near or far, front or behind, to the side, diagonal, above, below. Now that you've located this person, the next step is to check to see if there's any part of you that objects to moving the person you wish to forgive from where they are to the location of the person that you have forgiven, or to realize that they might belong in another location. Next, seek and satisfy any objections you have to forgiving this person. This may take some time. When all the objections are satisfied, move the person's image to the new location. And once you've done that, take a moment to remember what it is to be surrounded by God's unconditional love. Imagine it flowing over you and through you and around you and upholding you. Nothing can remove you from this love. Now let's take a moment and check the outcome. Can you feel the resentment? Is it great or is it less? If you can feel it, it's appropriate to go through the steps again. There may be additional objections to satisfy, demands to release, or things to learn. Remember, it is entirely appropriate to forgive someone and not trust them. We can wisely and compassionately not trust someone rather than resentfully not trust someone. And this process can be repeated as other resentments enter into your awareness. Ultimately, forgiveness is about releasing others into the ocean of God's love, where all creation is held. And in your mental space, you can choose where that person will be. And I wish you the best as you move forward in your life unencumbered by the resentments of the past. If this video has been helpful to you, please consider sharing it. Go in peace.